The Amex Platinum card has to be one of my favorite cards of all time that I actually never keep in my wallet. You know, funny thing, if you actually see somebody use this card in person or have it in their wallet, that's one sign of a credit card beginner, because there's honestly no reason to actually carry this card on you. But even so, the Amex Platinum or the American Express Platinum is still one of my favorite cards, but you know, there's actually a better version of this card, the Charles Schwab version, which we'll be fully going over in this video. And maybe by the end of this video, you'll understand why this is my favorite card. But let's go ahead and put this away.
That's a lot of damage!
But first, let's go over exactly what are the multipliers on this card, and this is the exact reason why I don't carry this card with me. Because it's really not that special. You get 5 times points booked for flights, but you have to book it through the Amex travel portal or book it directly with the airlines. And the only other multiplier on this card is getting 5 times back for hotels, only if it's booked through the Amex travel portal. Other than that, you'll earn 1 times points on everything else. So this card will get you a lot of money back on flights, but for everything else, not so much. Even for the hotels, because you do have to book it through the Amex travel portal to get those 5 times points. The only issue is they tend to upcharge on a lot of hotels. So in the end, it's actually not that worth it. And nowadays, if you're gonna be booking a flight, you will usually probably do that online. So what's the point of actually carrying the card with you? And right now, I understand that I'm not doing the best job of actually selling this card to you, but trust me, it gets better from here. Like for example, the point value you can get from this card, and it's a really strong reason why you would want to get an American Express Platinum card that earns MR points, which is their version of their point system. So from my understanding, I believe there are 6 different ways to redeem your MR points. So first, redeeming for statement credit. So that's not going to be the best option, because redeeming for statement credit will only get you 0.6 cents per point. So that would mean for every point you have, it's basically worth only half a point if you go with this option. So let's say, for example, you had 1,000 points and you wanted to redeem it for a statement credit, which is basically almost the same as cash back. So those 1,000 points would only be worth 600 points or $6. So not the best option if you're trying to redeem for the max potential value. Okay, so the second way to redeem your points, go shopping, is actually one of the worst ways to redeem your MR points. So this is basically some websites that partner with Amex and you can shop directly on Amex.com. However, when you do this method, unless it's during a promotional period, you can only get half a cent per point. So it's actually less than 0.6 cents per point that you would have gotten for the statement credit. So this is literally the worst way to redeem your points. So let's take the example of 1,000 points, which usually would be worth about $10, but you're going to be using this method of go shopping, it would only be worth $5. So exactly half the value. It's really not that worth it. If you're going to redeem your points this way, you might as well just redeem it for statement credit, because that's almost as good as cash, versus this one you'll have to shop at American Express partnered websites. It's kind of more restrictive and you're getting less for it. What's the point? And then the third method to redeem your MR points is pay at checkout. It's basically the same thing as the go shopping method, but it is a little bit better because you can get more value from doing it this way. You'll still have a partner list of shops that this will work at, such as Amazon, Best Buy, or Rite Aid. However, it can be worth more while over the go shopping method because this is at minimum worth 0.7 cents per point. So you'll be getting a little bit extra value over the other 2 methods that we talked about. And it's not too much of a hassle over the go shopping method. Just, you know, after you're done shopping on Amazon, when you get to the checkout screen, all you'll have to do is just say you want to pay with MR points, and it's just as easy as that. And the fourth method of redeeming your points is for gift cards, and this method is going to be an in-between option. Especially if there's a holiday promotion, then it could be worth a little bit more. On average, it's usually worth 0.7 cents per point, so it's the same as the pay at checkout method. However, during the holidays, I've usually seen these be worth a little bit more, usually 1 cent per point. So let's use the 1,000 point example. If you were to redeem during this promotional period, those points would be worth $10, so 1 cent per point. So this isn't a terrible option to redeem your points. The only downside is you'll have to wait for these promotional periods, or you won't be redeeming your points at the most maximum value. And then the fifth way to redeem your points is to redeem it for travel through the Amex travel portal. Now this isn't a terrible option, but you have to remember that sometimes on the Amex travel portal, they do upcharge on some stuff like flights and hotels. But you want to redeem your points using this method, it's not a terrible option. You can usually get 1 cent per point. So every 100 points would be worth $1, every 1,000 points would be worth $10. However, that's only some of the options. Like for example, you wanted to book a flight, then it would be 1 cent per point. So those 1,000 points would be worth $10. However, if you wanted to redeem for a hotel, it would only be worth 0.7 cents per point, so the same as the pay at checkout method. However, if you wanted to book a fine hotels and resort, it would actually be worth a little bit more if you were to book a basic hotel, and that would be at 1 cent per point. So not a bad option, but definitely not the best. However, the sixth option is going to be the best option to redeem your points because they can be worth quite a bit, which is to transfer your points out to travel partners. So transferring your points out to airline partners and hotels. And this is a really powerful method if you were gonna book a flight anyways, because usually it'll take a lot less points than if you were to book cash for the same thing. So let's say me personally, I like to book a lot of flights from Kentucky to Washington DC, and a lot of times those flights will cost $300. However, if I use Delta points, those exact same flights would only cost me 15,000 points. In other words, $150, so half the price of a cash flight. And I could easily do that using the American Express transfer method, where each American Express point would be worth 1 Delta point. So it's a pretty powerful way to use your American Express points. However, it can be a little bit tricky because it does require a lot of work to make sure that you're redeeming for the maximum value. So it's not as easy as redeeming for a gift card. However, there is one secret method that is only available for the Charles Schwab American Express Platinum version, which is to redeem your points to put in a Charles Schwab brokerage at 1.1 cents per point. And this method is literally the same as cash. You could redeem your points and put them in the Charles Schwab brokerage account, and then transfer the cash that you transferred to the Charles Schwab brokerage account to the checking account, and then from the checking account, just transfer it to your normal bank. It's exactly the same as cash. This secret method isn't the best way to redeem your points. However, if you just want a simple way to just get your points, then this is gonna be the best method to do so. And this is only available on the Charles Schwab version, which makes it the most powerful version of the American Express Platinum cards. And to be completely honest, if you're not going to be redeeming your points to transfer them out to travel partners or to redeem them at 1.1 cents per point through Charles Schwab, there's really no reason to pick up any of the American Express charge cards like the Amex Green card or the Amex Platinum card or even the Amex Gold card, because at that point, if you're only redeeming for half a cent per point or even 0.7 cents per point, there's probably other better cards out there. But here's another reason to keep the American Express Platinum card, Charles Schwab or otherwise, which are the many travel insurances that they include on this card, and there's so many of them, I actually can't keep track of them. Personally, I use an app called Kudos. They haven't sponsored this video, but I'm going to use it to keep track of all the insurances because there are a lot. The first insurance is cell phone protection insurance, so this will cover your phone up to $800 2 times a year. All you have to do is pay your cell phone bill using the American Express Platinum card, and there is a $50 deductible if you have to use this benefit. So not too bad. It'll save you a lot of money instead of paying for like Apple Care or Samsung Plus or Verizon Plus or whatever that is, and then you don't have to pay for anything, right? The second benefit, purchase protection. So that's going to be for anything that you buy using the American Express Platinum card, and it will cover that item if it was lost, damaged, or stolen up to $10,000 and $50,000 per year. So a pretty strong benefit, especially if you live in the city or you just lose things all the time. Along with that, the third insurance they include in the Amex Platinum card is extended warranty. It'll add an extra year of warranty up to a 5-year maximum on just, any item that you buy using the American Express Platinum card. So it could be a pretty powerful benefit just in case. The fourth insurance, trip cancellation or interruption insurance. So that would cover a plane round trip, and for some reason if you weren't able to take it, maybe you got sick, whatever is an acceptable and eligible reason according to the Amex, then you would be able to get a $10,000 reimbursement for the trip. Up to a $20,000 reimbursement for the whole year, and this is a pretty powerful benefit because you don't have to worry about, oh, can I take that trip? Am I gonna get sick? Can I no longer make that trip? Will I lose money not taking that trip? Or when you check out, maybe you're booking a flight and it'll ask you the option, do you want a refundable ticket or do you want it non-refundable? And choose the non-refundable option because you know you have this benefit and you can save a little bit of money and put that back in your pocket. Then along that, the fifth insurance, trip delay, is actually pretty useful benefit. So basically what it means is if your trip gets delayed more than 6 hours, maybe you're waiting at the airport and they push back the time for the flight, maybe it's due to weather, maybe it's due to mechanical issues. Then if you need something, maybe you need an extra pair of clothes, you need some chargers for your phone or something like that, maybe you need some food or even a hotel, as long as it's under $500 and up to 2 times per year, then you'll be completely covered if you use the Amex Platinum card to cover your flight. So it's a pretty powerful benefit. A lot of people, when their flight gets canceled or delayed, they're panicking all over the place. Where can I get to the next flight? But with the American Express Platinum card, you don't have to worry about that. Honestly, me personally, if it's a personal vacation, I would actually prefer the flights to be delayed because then I can get some maybe new clothes, maybe some new chargers or something like that. It's just there so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry where you're gonna stay that night, what you're gonna eat that night, can you afford it? Because for most incidents, if you use the Amex Platinum card to pay for your trip, then you're basically covered for most reasons. Personally, if you ask me if I actually had to use it yet, not yet, but I was really close to actually using it. I was at Salt Lake City and there was a 6-hour delay for the flight from Salt Lake City to Jackson Hole, but it was right on that mark and I had to make the flight, so I had to leave that benefit behind. But honestly, I didn't really mind. I was sitting at the Delta Lounge and I had everything basically covered. I had free food, I had charging outlets, so it wasn't a problem for me. Which I'll go into a little bit later because it is a benefit with the Amex Platinum card to get into a bunch of airport lounges. Another insurance benefit is return protection, and this is powerful on its own as well. Because nowadays, a lot of places have a 15-day return policy, which is kind of ridiculous because I don't think 2 weeks is enough to try out a product, especially if it's an expensive electronic product. And to be completely honest, there was this one time I was at the fancy outdoor store. I think I bought a GoPro and I tried to return it and it was within their return policy, but for some reason when I got to the counter, they looked at me and then they looked at the product and they were like, no, we're not taking the return. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not taking a return? That's kind of ridiculous. Fortunately, I was able to return it at a different relocation, but for some reason, if none of the locations was able to take the return, then I basically would have been screwed and I wouldn't know what else to do. So what exactly is the policy for the Amex Platinum return protection? So basically the Amex Platinum return protection will cover you up to 90 days and $300 per incident up to $1,000 per year. So it's not the best, it probably won't cover a lot of items, but it's there in a pinch. And I believe the last insurance is the car rental loss damage waiver insurance, or the CDW. Now this is exactly what it sounds like when you rent a car and use the Amex Platinum to charge the transaction on. Then if for some reason that rental car gets lost, damaged, or stolen for some reason, only that car's damaged or lost, because let me remind you, this isn't liability insurance, where liability insurance will cover you as the cause of the accident. If you were to bump into someone else, the CDW will cover your physical rental car, but it won't cover the person that you're running into. And those charges will reflect on your car insurance, or if you don't have car insurance, then you're gonna have to pay that out of pocket. So if you don't have car insurance, I would actually recommend you to buy the liability insurance, which is different from the CDW. Like I said, the CDW only covers your physical rental car. However, one big problem with the Amex Platinum car's rental insurance is it is secondary. So what does that mean, secondary? So if you were to get damage on a rental car, it would actually go through your personal car insurance first if you turn down the rental car CDW insurance plan, which you should because it's goddamn expensive. Then whatever your car insurance won't cover, then the Amex Platinum will cover, I believe, up to $50,000 for the rental car. However, there is a trick to make it primary so it won't go through your personal car insurance first. And all you have to do is enroll in a program, I believe it's called the Car Premium Rental Insurance through Amex. Basically, it's just an upgraded CDW insurance through American Express. It does cost a little bit extra, however, there are higher limits and extra things that the regular insurance won't cover, but the premium one will. The charge is about $25 for your entire rental period, up to 30 days. So 100% better than whatever Hertz or Enterprise or National is charging you. Speaking of benefits, everything we just talked about is really nice to have, but this is where you're gonna see if you can actually justify the card or not, so pay real close attention to the benefits. We'll go over the credits, then we'll go over the benefits that don't exactly have a monetary value. Up first is the infamous $200 hotel credit, and the reason why it's infamous is because you can only use this $200 hotel credit basically at luxury hotels. And not only luxury hotels, you have to book that hotel through the Amex travel portal, which sometimes have been seen upcharging on some of the hotels, if not most. And since these are luxury hotels, that $200 doesn't really get you far most of the time. There are some properties around that $200 mark, but it's not that many and it's only during specific times. So it can be frustrating to use. However, me personally, I've used this benefit at $300 or $200 properties and I can say it is kind of worth it. You're getting a really nice hotel, usually 4 to 5 stars. You get a lot of amenities. Plus also when you book these hotels through the Amex travel portal, you'll be getting a bunch of extra benefits such as late checkout, early check-in, free Wi-Fi, but most importantly, you'll be getting amenity credit, usually about $100, sometimes can be up to $150, and free breakfast. So those alone could make your net cost about zero, especially if you stay at a hotel that's about $300 or $200. However, the issue with this benefit is if you weren't willing to pay for a hotel that was a luxury hotel, maybe about $200 or $500 a night for a hotel, then this benefit would be completely worthless to you, especially if you're the type of person that stays at Motel 6s or Red Roof Inns, where you're only spending about like $20 or $50 a night. Because yes, it's nice having the hotel credit, but you have to remember you prepaid for this benefit when you paid the annual fee for this card, which we'll go into later. But hey, if you stay at nice properties, then this credit might be worth something to you. Me personally, it's worth the full $200. The next credit you'll get when you hold the American Express Platinum card, Charles Schwab or otherwise, is the entertainment credit up to $240. Now you don't get the $240 up front, you get it in $20 increments throughout the year. So that's one restriction, but the biggest restriction a lot of people complain about is you can only use the entertainment credit at specific places. And a lot of those places, a lot of people don't really prefer to even have, such as using the credit at Audible, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu, Peacock, Sirius XM, and the New York Times. A lot of those, most people don't actually pay for. Now, if Netflix was on there, I think it would be a different story. I've heard some people taking it and using the benefit at Audible, and a lot of people like the audiobook reading, which is, completely fine. it's covered. The Disney bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu is also fine. Most people tend to enjoy that, but the issue comes with Peacock, Sirius XM, and the New York Times. A lot of people seem to get really frustrated at these options because without the Amex Platinum card, Charles Schwab or otherwise, they would have never paid for a Peacock or Sirius XM or a New York Times subscription. So it's like forcing your hand to get a benefit that you don't really want that you already paid for. Kind of annoying, I understand, but some people actually like these benefits. So maybe it's not worth it to you, but for somebody else, it could be worth the full $240. Me personally, after thinking about it, I do value the entertainment credit at $100. It does come in useful sometimes, like for some of the stuff that I'm paying for. So I do have it pulled up here so I don't mess it up, but I do a tricky thing with the entertainment credit so I can actually maximize it even more than its potential value. And let me explain in a second. So personally for me, on a month-to-month basis, I pay $5.30 for my Hulu. And it's technically not even for the Hulu membership because that's covered under my mom's Verizon wireless plan. The $5.30 is just so that we don't get ads on Hulu. And the entertainment credit completely covers that. Next thing I get is a $5 New York Times subscription. Now you may be wondering, why is your New York Times subscription so low? So this is where the trick comes in. So I signed up for the New York Times under the free trial, and then when I went to go and try to cancel my New York Times subscription, the chatting agent with me didn't want me to cancel, so they gave me a promotional price up until the next year of $5. And honestly, I've been using this trick for about 3 years now, and every time they keep my price at $5 or lower sometimes. And I've also done the same thing with Sirius XM. Personally, I don't use Sirius XM, but I give it to my mother-in-law since she uses it a bunch, so it makes her happy, it makes me happy, you know? And for the Sirius XM subscription, I only pay $7.66 per month, which is drastically lower than what they advertise on their website. And the reason is because I threatened to cancel and they keep giving me the same price of $7.66 every single year. And then the last thing I use my entertainment credit on is Peacock. And exactly the same thing. I threatened to cancel Peacock and they gave me a promotional price of $1.99, good until the next year. And I just keep doing the same thing every single year. I threaten to cancel and they give me a lower price. So maybe that's something to consider, because the only thing that I don't have in my arsenal out of the entertainment credit is Audible. The only thing that sucks is most of the time for these subscriptions, I probably wouldn't have signed up for it without the Amex Platinum card. So you either see value in it or you don't. The next credit the American Express Platinum has is a Walmart Plus credit. Now this is basically like an Amazon Prime subscription, but you know, Walmart. So you'll get free shipping, sometimes even free 2-hour shipping from a Walmart. So that's pretty cool, especially when you find the same thing at Amazon and they also sell at Walmart, but for some reason Walmart tends to be cheaper. Then you just have another option to go to. But honestly, I don't really use the Walmart Plus benefit too much. I don't really find too many things I want at Walmart. But where the Walmart credit actually shines is when you get a Walmart Plus subscription, you'll also have access to Paramount Plus. And you know, Paramount Plus is just another subscription service that has their own original shows and just, you know, other shows that they have that the other ones don't have. And this specifically came in useful because my in-laws were almost going to pay for Paramount Plus until they realized that I got it for free, therefore using my Paramount Plus and saving them money. However, me personally, Walmart Plus is nice to have, but I don't really put value in this benefit. Then the next credit, I could see a lot more people getting use out of it, which is the Uber credit. And you don't actually only have to use it at Uber, you can also use this benefit at Uber Eats, therefore making it a lot easier to use, because you may not use Uber every month, but maybe once a month you could pick up Uber Eats. And basically on the American Express Platinum card, the Uber credit is a $200 credit, but you don't get it all up front. You get $15 per month, with the exception in December where you'll get $20 per month. So it's basically good for one short Uber ride or one meal on Uber Eats. But you have to be real with yourself for the Uber credit, because if you weren't ordering Ubers or Uber Eats before you had the American Express Platinum card, then you may not see any value from this Uber credit. Especially if you're planning on using the Uber credit at Uber Eats, you have to remember Uber Eats most of the time at most places they do an upcharge. And this credit isn't necessarily free, you prepaid for it when you paid the annual fee. These credits just help justify the card to begin with. But me personally, I easily use the Uber credit either ordering a Uber, or sometimes I do Uber Eats, but I do make sure the prices are about the same or exactly the same. So in my personal assessment, I do value the Uber credit at exactly $200. Speaking of easy credits to use, another credit on the American Express Platinum card is the airline credit of $200. So you can't officially use this credit to buy an airline ticket, it's made more for incidental fees, such as seat assignment fees, checked luggage, or even pet carrier fees. All that stuff will be officially covered under the American Express Platinum card. However, I do understand that some travelers don't run into incidental fees, so it makes this benefit a lot harder to use. But there is a way to trick the system to think that you got an incidental fee when you actually booked an airline ticket, which I'll have linked above. It's not official or anything, and it may not work, but most of the time for me it works. Of course not official. And because of that hack, I easily use the airline credit, so I value it at the full $200. Because I would have booked something at least once per year, I was going to pay for it anyways. The next credit on the American Express Platinum card has been pretty controversial, which is the Equinox credit. Basically, it's a $300 Equinox credit that you can either use at Equinox clubs or you can use for the online membership for the Equinox app. But the reason why it's so controversial is because there's not too many Equinox clubs in the United States. Most of them are concentrated in New York, so of course a lot of people are going to complain and say that they can't use this credit, what's the point of it? And they wouldn't have downloaded the Equinox app if it wasn't for this credit. But honestly, I think that's the purpose of this credit, because I think American Express only wants customers really in the cities because they tend to make more money. And they probably make a lot of money off the high spenders that just use the American Express Platinum card as their main card and just charge every single purchase on it. So I don't think they necessarily care about pissing off the majority of the country. American Express is probably thinking, if you don't want to sign up for the card, then don't sign up for it. That's why I'm telling you about these credits. If you don't think you can use the majority of these credits, then don't sign up for the card. You're going to be doing more harm than good to yourself. Oh, before we leave the Equinox credit, I don't hear too many people talk about it, but I think it's an interesting benefit. On the American Express Platinum card, you'll also get a $300 SoulCycle credit for if you want to buy a bike and take it home with you. I believe normally their exercise bikes cost $2,600. However, I have seen it on sale for $1,500, and after getting the statement credit from the American Express Platinum card, it will reduce the exercise bike to $1,200. It's not great, but if you're gonna buy a SoulCycle bike anyway, then might as well use the credit. But me personally, I don't value the Equinox credit since there are no clubs near me and the app is kind of trash. However, I will sign up for the Equinox credit because I do get MR points for that $300 transaction, so I'll be getting about 300 MR points. Might as well pick up the extra points. But now we're coming back to the easy to use credits, which is the Saks Fifth Avenue credit. So the Saks Fifth Avenue credit is $100 with $50 for the first half of the year and the $50 for the second half of the year. And overall, most things at Saks Fifth Avenue is really overpriced. So $50 isn't gonna get you too far. But there are a lot of times on the online website that you can easily find things that are under $50 or around $50. So that's an option, but I've also used the Saks Fifth Avenue hack to buy a gift card, which I'll link up above. I already made a video on it. That's an option, but just know it is unofficial. But they also sell cosmetics, which are easily under $50. So personally for me, I value the Saks Fifth Avenue credit at the exact $100 because they have a lot of stuff I would have bought anyways. Next statement credit you'll get with the American Express Platinum card is $189 for Clear. And Clear is just basically a fast pass security line. Sometimes they're at stadiums, but most of the time they're at airports. And basically instead of waiting in the standard line, you'll go to the Clear line and bypass TSA and TSA pre-check just straight to the X-ray machines. It's a handy benefit, but most can live without, unless your home airport is Atlanta or JFK or LaGuardia or one of those bigger airports like LAX or something like that. Then it might be actually valuable to you. But me personally, I'm gonna put a 0. Then alongside with the Clear credit on the American Express Platinum card, you'll also get global entry or TSA pre-check for free. So depending on what you get TSA pre-check, then it will cover you up to $85, but if you get global entry, it will cover the $100 enrollment fee. And these will basically get you past the airport security line a lot faster because you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take off your belt. But just remember, for global entry, it will get you into the country a lot faster because you don't have to wait through the standard line. But also know global entry comes with TSA pre-check, which I've done a video linked up here, so check it out if you want to. But personally, if I didn't get the American Express Platinum card, I probably wouldn't pay for TSA pre-check or global entry, so I value that at also 0. So overall, in my personal assessment, I value the hotel credit at $200, the entertainment credit at $100, the $200 Uber credit, $200 airline credit, and $100 Saks Fifth credit. So with just the main American Express Platinum credits alone, I am getting $800 in value from just holding this card, which is pretty awesome because this card will bring me $800 of value that I would have paid for anyways. But here's why the Charles Schwab version is the superior version over all the American Express Platinum cards. Because when you hold specifically the Charles Schwab version of the Platinum card, you'll also be getting an appreciation bonus depending on how much money that you have in your Charles Schwab account. So you have a Charles Schwab account with $250,000, it could be in stocks, it could be in your checking account, and the Charles Schwab Platinum card, you'll be getting a $100 appreciation bonus. If you have $1 million in your Charles Schwab account, you'll be getting $200. And if you have $10 million, you'll be getting a whopping $1,000. And you'll be getting this when you're approved for the card and each year you hold the card. And this is pretty powerful stuff. If you were to have $10 million in your Charles Schwab account, you'll be getting $1,000, which is more than any other variant of the American Express Platinum card. Because I believe the only other American Express Platinum card that gives you a credit is the Stanley Morgan Platinum card, but it only gives you a bonus of $695 and a free authorized user card, which I believe doesn't stack up to the $1,000. Of course, course, you have to have the money to get the Charles Schwab bonus, but if you do have the money, then the Charles Schwab version is going to be the best one for you. And even still, the Charles Schwab version does pay out the most compared to all the other cards, so at 1.1 cents per point. So depending on your situation, the Charles Schwab version could bring you the most value. Those were only statement credit benefits. There are actually other benefits on this card that could make this card worth getting. Like for example, you get priority through the Resi app, and the Resi app is just basically a reservation website that American Express bought. It can be useful sometimes, especially on a special occasion. If you forgot to book in advance, then this really will come in handy sometimes. Also with the American Express Platinum card, you get status at Marriott and Hilton, which can be a pretty powerful benefit, especially for the late checkout benefit. It definitely came in handy sometimes, especially in a pinch, but there are also other benefits when you hold these statuses. You'll earn extra points for your stay when you have these statuses. At Hilton, usually you'll have a bonus when you check in. Maybe it's either points or free breakfast or accredited breakfast, so these can be pretty powerful tools just to earn a little bit extra without actually earning status. You'll also have access to the Premium Global Assist hotline, and it can come in useful, especially if you're going to be traveling internationally a lot to places that you haven't visited before or not too comfortable in. So if there is ever an emergency, you can always contact Amex to help you sort out the situation. Along that note, the American Express Platinum also comes with a concierge service. It's not the best service that I've ever had. It's more or less just a Google search. I've done a video about it. You can check it out right here if you want. Basically, I try to use it for a bunch of reservations or getting flowers, and it's basically like doing it yourself. But some people like it. There's definitely success stories out there of using the concierge service, so maybe it didn't work out for me, but it could work out for you. Oh, also another benefit with the American Express Platinum card is you'll get a free ShopRunner membership, and this does come with a lot of cards. It's basically just like a Amazon Prime membership, where at many sites that you shop at, normally you would pay for shipping or you would need a certain amount to get the free shipping, but with ShopRunner you'll get 2-day free shipping. So it does come in handy sometimes, especially if you don't want to pay for the shipping costs. You also have access to American Express entertainment stuff, so whatever they partner with to either book a ticket or you get a special seat somewhere. So if you like concert, it definitely comes in handy because sometimes those tickets will sell out, but American Express will have a couple in hand for their customers. Oh, also I forgot to mention, along with hotel statuses, you'll also get car rental statuses at Avis, Hertz, and National. It definitely can come in handy. I personally don't see too much of a difference. I know you do earn extra points. The only real benefit I see with these statuses is with National, you can have that option where you can choose out your car within the lot, so that's pretty cool. But the biggest benefit, and I think the main reason why a lot of people carry the American Express Platinum card, is for the airport lounge access. So with the American Express Platinum card, you'll have access to the Party Pass lounges, which are okay lounges, at least domestically. I've heard that a lot of the nice Party Pass lounges tend to be internationally. Also know the American Express Platinum card doesn't come with Party Pass restaurants, which isn't too big a deal. I've noticed a lot of them actually closed recently, so it's not really a benefit that many people miss. Unless of course your home airport only has Party Pass restaurants, then yeah, that benefit may be worthwhile to you, so maybe skip on the American Express Platinum card. Other lounges that you have access to is of course the famous Centurion Lounge, which are lounges made by American Express, and they tend to be really nice lounges. Not all the time of course, but it's usually a general rule. But personally for me, the most important lounge access is into a Delta Sky Club. Basically whenever you're flying Delta, you'll have unlimited access to go into these Delta lounges, and especially if you're doing domestic flights, they tend to be very plentiful over the other types of lounge access that you get with this card, and the quality is pretty standard among all the Delta lounges, which is pretty nice. However, I had heard some rumors that they're getting rid of this benefit, so make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date on that. But overall, getting airport lounge access is a good reason to keep this card as long as you can make the statement credits work for you, because getting airport lounge access, you know, a lot of people when they go to the airport that they're gonna spend like, you know, $10-20 on food. Why spend that and sit at an uncomfortable chair with dirty bathrooms when you could just go to an airport lounge? Maybe if you're going to an airport lounge once, then this card may not be for you. So I keep talking about the benefits and credits and then the fees, because with so many credits you don't expect this card to be free, right? And it's definitely a lot, I can't lie. It's a pretty large down payment to get the use of these benefits. And the annual fee for the American Express Platinum card, Charles Schwab or otherwise, is $695 at this moment, which is a lot, but you can use the statement credits naturally or even come out ahead like me, where I'm getting $800 in value but only paying an annual fee of $695, therefore making a profit of $105 that I would have spent anyways. Might as well get the card, right? So it's gonna be completely up to you. It may not work for you. A lot of people who don't live in the cities, these statement credits are harder to use. If you don't travel, these statement credits are harder to use. And the American Express Platinum card is a travel card, so but you really don't do any flight travel, there's no real reason to pick up this card. So don't get it. It may be my favorite card, but it might be your nightmare card. And that's completely fine. Each credit card has their own specific benefits targeted towards a certain demographic. And you happen to not be in it, it doesn't make you lesser of a person compared to someone who has the American Express Platinum card. It's just a different lifestyle, and that's completely fine. But this card still works for you, and you're alright paying the $695 fee because you're getting value from the statement credits. Then let's go over the other fees that you may occur with this card. For most credit cards that you want to add your player to, your spouse or your kid, it's usually free. But on the American Express Platinum, if you want the Platinum card, so you know, the ones with the benefits, the lounge access to the Centurion Lounge, then that's going to cost you $175 up to the first 3 cards. So it doesn't matter, up to the first 3 authorized user cards, it's going to cost $175. So whether you get 1 authorized user card, it's going to be $175 total. You get 2 authorized Platinum user cards, then it's going to be $175 total. If you get 3 Platinum authorized user cards, it's going to cost $175 total. So if you split the cost between the 3 authorized user cards, it would come out to about $59 per card. Of course, you do have to pay $175 no matter how many cards you get. So whether you get 1 authorized user card, 2, or 3, it's going to be all the same. If you want any extra cards above 3 authorized user cards, it's going to cost $175 per extra card. So when it comes to your 4th authorized user card, it's going to be $175 just for that card. So for some reason, if you need 4 authorized user Platinum cards, it's going to come out to a total of $350. However, if you're just wanting to add someone to your credit profile, there is a cheaper way. Instead of adding an authorized user Platinum card, which a lot of people do for lounge access because guests you need to pay for, but you don't need that benefit, then instead you can add an authorized user American Express Gold Platinum card. It's not the American Express Gold card, which gets you 4 times back on groceries, 4 times back on dining. This authorized user American Express Platinum Gold card, the authorized user can earn the same multipliers as the regular Platinum cards, so 5 times back on flights, 5 times back on hotels booked through the Amex travel portal, plus a special benefit, and it really makes value out of just holding the American Express Platinum card. Each free American Express authorized user Gold card does come with its own TSA pre-check credit or global entry credit. And if I'm not mistaken, you can add 99 authorized user Gold cards, so that basically means 99 free TSA pre-check or global entry credits. But also I've seen on the website that it only supports 4 authorized users, so that's kind of weird, but you know, I might as well try it. It's free. And this credit is completely separate from the main user's account, so you're not sharing the same TSA pre-check credit or the global entry credit. And I know this from personal experience because I signed up my mom and my dad for a TSA pre-check using the free American Express Platinum Gold authorized user card, and it literally didn't cost me anything extra. So it's a pretty powerful benefit, especially if you have a family. You know, just a family of 4, if you're going to be applying for global entry, that's $400 already out of your pocket, and you have to pay that every time it renews, so why not get it free using the American Express Platinum card? Could be worthwhile. Other fees on the American Express Platinum card is there is a late payment and return payment fee of $40, which is kind of a little bit more expensive than other banks, but also it's American Express. What do you expect? And on the topic of late payments, there is one important thing to know about this card. It is a charge card. So it's a little bit different than a credit card, but not really at this point. Let me explain. So for a charge card, whatever charges that you make within the month, by the end of the month when the statement closes, you do have to pay back entirely what you spent on that card. Whereas with a credit card, you can carry a balance month to month. You'll just be paying a lot of interest. But honestly, with the American Express charge cards, they're not really charge cards at this point because there are 2 features that make it more like a credit card, which is pay over time and plan it. So plan it is just like those pay over time things like Affirm. Basically the buy now pay later type of plans. So on the American Express Platinum, if you make a charge over $100, you can put it under the plan it feature, and they won't charge you interest, but they will charge you a fee month to month. So let's say for example, you made a transaction charge of over $100, maybe $100 exactly. It'll be split depending on how long you want that plan to last, and then they'll charge you a fee on top of that. So maybe you decided to do a 10-month plan on a $100 charge. Each month you'll be paying $11 until you pay off the $100 charge. So by the end of it, you'll be paying an extra $10 on that $100 charge. And that's how they make their money. However, you can pay it off sooner if you want to avoid some of the extra fees that come down the line. However, if you wanted to carry a balance, but you didn't want to go with that method, there is another way to carry a balance that is really similar to how a credit card functions, which is pay over time. Pay over time basically gives you an available credit that you can put this many charges and you can move them into the next month. Maybe it's like $5,000. So if you spent $6,000 that month, you would have to pay the $1,000 no matter what, or it will be considered a late payment. But for the rest of the charges, that $5,000 you decided to pay over time, it will incur interest just like a credit card, and you'll have a minimum payment due. So yes, the American Express Platinum card is a charge card, but it could act really similar to like a credit card. But I think it's just something good to know before you apply for this card. One last thing to know before we get into the application process of the American Express Platinum card, which is American Express Offers, which can help offset the annual fee. Basically, it's just like a coupon book. You scroll through the offers and maybe you see something that you're already gonna go to. Maybe it's like an offer to Target. Maybe if you spend like $50, then you'll get $10 back. And this would be a really good way to offset the annual fee if those statement credits don't work out for you. Of course, don't rely on this. It can be really random sometimes, and it may not have any offers that are any useful. Personally, for me, it has come in handy. Over the couple of years that I've had the American Express Platinum card, I've already earned $200 from just using the American Express offers. So pretty powerful stuff. But another place you can find value for applying for the American Express Platinum card is the welcome bonus. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think this should be the deciding factor of whether or not you apply for a card. Yes, you can cancel or downgrade the card within a year, but a lot of banks don't like that, especially American Express, where they'll put you in pop-up jails, basically meaning that you won't be eligible for any more welcome bonuses or sign-up offers for a certain period of time that is unknown. But on the American Express Platinums, you'll probably get one of the best welcome bonuses out in the credit card market. I've seen some that are $125,000 or even $150,000 after $6,000 to spend, and that's pretty powerful, especially you transfer them out to transfer travel partners and use them for international travel. But most of those are specifically for the regular Platinum card, but in this video we're talking about mostly the Charles Schwab Platinum card. And currently for the Charles Schwab version of the American Express Platinum card, they're offering 80,000 points after $6,000 to spend. So it's definitely not bad. It could reduce down to 60,000 points after $6,000 to spend. That was usually the normal offer, but it seems pretty constant at 80,000 at the moment. Now I had tried this, and personally this is how I applied for my American Express Charles Schwab Platinum card. I actually called in and applied for the card over the phone. And when we got to the point where we were talking about the welcome bonus, they offered me 100,000 points. So it may be worth a call in if you're going to apply for this card. But before we get into the application process, what do you need before you apply for this card? And there are a lot of data points out there that show that if you have a credit score of around 670, which is actually surprisingly not too high for a premium card, but there are a lot of people with a credit score of 670 apparently has been approved for this card. I've also seen some data points on my channel of just like 18, 19, and 20-year-olds being approved for this card, so it's kind of insane. Personally, for me, when I first applied for the regular Platinum card, my credit score was 720, and when I applied for the Charles Schwab American Express Platinum card, my credit score was at 802. So you don't have to have the best credit score, but you have a good enough above average credit score, you should be able to get this card. However, thankfully, American Express implemented a tool similar to the Apple card where if you fill out the application and American Express doesn't think you'll be able to be approved for this card, they'll only do a soft pull. It's only until the end when you accept the card that they'll do a hard pull. And usually if you have any other American Express cards, then it'll also be a soft pull instead of a hard pull. So basically what I'm trying to say is if you're already in the American Express family, it'll probably be just soft pulls from here on out. And if you do want to apply for this card, it is a little bit different than the regular Platinum card. That is opening a Charles Schwab brokerage account, which is free and completely easy to do, especially when you're comparing it to the Morgan Stanley account. All you have to do is go into Google, type in Charles Schwab brokerage account, or you can click on the link below and get a referral bonus. Personally, I won't get anything, but it'll help you out. If you deposit the correct amount of funds in the Charles Schwab brokerage account, you just go through the steps, get approved, and then you're done. And there's no fee to keep the account open, and there's no minimum balances. So there's really nothing to lose. And this is important to have because when you apply for the Charles Schwab Platinum card, you have to log into your Schwab account to apply for the card. And same thing if you apply over the phone. But for the application process in general, it's just like applying for any other American Express card. Just type in your information or tell them your information, you know, name, address, your income, whether you pay rent, and they'll tell you if you're approved or not using a soft pull. But when you actually accept the card, there may be a hard pull. So just keep that in mind. If you want to know what it's like to apply for this card over the phone, I should have that video out soon and I'll link it up here when it's done. It's a pretty cool experience. It is a long process though compared to applying for it online. But after you're done with the application, hopefully you got approved. Congratulations. How does the American Express physical card feel? It is a metal card with a non-metal back, so you can still use the tap to pay function. You can get it in the limited designs, you know, the flower design or the abstract design. Even for the Charles Schwab version of the Platinum card, it doesn't have to be the regular Platinum card to get those designs. But if you want to see the actual physical unboxing of the American Express Platinum card, you can also click click this link above here. I made a couple of shorts about the American Express Platinum card. I have the 2 designs that I unboxed, and I've unboxed the Charles Schwab version. But before we end this video, I have a question for you. But where are you gonna put a premium card like the Amex Platinum card if not in a premium wallet like the Andar wallet, which is the sponsor of today's video? The Andar wallet is made out of 100% full grain leather, just like all their other products. But the wallet is really cool. You can put one card up in the front, and then in the back, they have this little slot where you can put your cash, or you can put multiple cards if you don't carry cash, just like me. And then in the middle section, you can put a bunch of cards up in here, and then on the bottom, it's just this little tab. You just do that, and then all your cards will pop up. Then you can easily reach the American Express Platinum card. And the pop-up function works 100% of the time, which you may not get with the copycat clones of this wallet. And it feels pretty sturdy. But not only do they sell leather wallets, they also sell a lot of other things, like this MacBook Pro cover that they sent me. Also, it's pretty cool. All their products come in this like bag, so you can use this for something else. It's a pretty nice bag. You can use, you know, maybe for dirty laundry or something. Even the wallet came with this little bag. You could probably put some cords or something in here. So it's like a 2-in-1. But here's the MacBook cover and how they wrap it. It already is wrapped basically like a gift. So just take off the sticker here with their logo. Ooh, I love the smell of this leather. That's usually personally how I can tell if it's a good leather, if you just smell it and it smells really nice without making you like get a headache or something. Usually I notice for the cheaper leathers, it kind of gives you a headache. It's kind of weird, right? But not with Andar. So here's the top piece. It's also really soft, so it won't damage your laptop when you put this on. I hate it when you put these kind of covers on your laptop and it scratches it up, but they've already thought of that. And then here's the bottom piece, also in this soft touch. And on the back here, they had these little bumper feet, so it'll help cool down your laptop, so that's pretty cool. And all you want to do is snap it onto your laptop like so. Just go ahead and put the bottom piece and then put the top piece. I don't think it matters what order you put it in, but as long as it snaps on, you hear that tiny little click, then you know it's properly on there. And if you can see, Andar's already thought about this. They have cutouts for all the ports so you can access all the ports, along with cutouts for the vent so it doesn't overheat the laptop. So way to think ahead. But yeah, it'll make your laptop look a lot more premium, and it covers up the Apple logo, which could prevent some theft. And right now, if you use my code CALBY at checkout, CALBY, you'll get 15% off. And if you're not happy with your purchase, exchanges are completely for free, and they do have an extended return policy of 90 days. So go ahead and try Andar for yourself, and remember to use code CALBY at checkout to get 15% off, and it'll be really helping out my channel, so I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think this will do it for this video. I hope I explained the Amex Platinum card so it's easier to understand, and I'll see you later.